King of Pro Wrestling was a pretty good show. There was a lot of great wrestling on it, some new champions, a lot of information about things coming up that are going forward, and some mystery about some factions. So we have a little bit of clarity and one match for Wrestle Kingdom, but we still have another big event to get through in Gifu first. So we're going to talk about each match from King of Pro Wrestling. We're going to talk about the best of the Super Junior Tag League coming up next week. We're going to be talking about Gifu and our first match for the big January 4th event. So plenty to get into this week. Let's get right to it. With Jeremy Finestone, I'm Stephen Conway, and this is Speaking of Strong Style. Welcome, everyone, to Speaking of Strong Style, where we discuss the news, issues, and events surrounding New Japan Pro Wrestling. We are contributors to the Fight Game Media Network. That's Jeremy. I'm Steven. And I was really entertained by this show, Jeremy. I know that when we went into it, we felt enthusiastic about it. On paper, it looked like a good event. When it was happening on Monday, I was sitting there watching it, and with a couple of exceptions that were mostly for storyline reasons, I felt action-wise, this show really delivered. How did you feel coming out of KOPW?
Well, I thought it was a better than average show, with the only real problem for me being not action, not anything that happened on the show, but that the through line to what we're getting at Wrestle Kingdom wasn't made clear.
Okay.
Like, the tickets have sold. They've sold a bunch of tickets, right out the gate with no matches announced. We now have one match that's been announced. I'm not even sure that it's the full match that will be on the show. And we're going to go into another show with the Tanahashi night on November 2nd. And I think we're going to get the two main events after that show. I mean, that's 2 months out from Wrestle Kingdom. World Tag League will be underway. Like, by the World Tag League, they should be pumping the main event of Wrestle Kingdom for the entirety of that tour. So if they don't have it announced by then, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, overall, it was a pretty strong week for wrestling. I enjoyed the Noah show also. I bought the pay-per-view. I bought it and watched it, the Noah show. I thought Hiromu was terrific, and I thought Tanahashi was pretty good in it. He had a good weekend, by the way. His final 2 matches in Sumo Hall. It's a strong weekend for Tanahashi, and I don't always say that. I'm not afraid to mention when Tanahashi's not doing well, but this was a strong couple of shows for him. That was entertaining. We've got Mirai's final match with Mari Gold was there. So it was a very busy weekend for Japanese wrestling. It's hard to stand out. And this show, I thought, had some moments that absolutely did. And boy, the other thing I take away from this, Jeremy, is the Knockout Brothers are the real thing. This is a big time act.
Like, are you all in yet? Like, I'm all in on these guys.
I was after Destruction in Kobe. Once I saw them as a team and pull out all the stops, because we mentioned they were holding back on the road 2 shows. And then once they unleashed everything, you just thought, oh, these guys are real good.
I don't know how you can't be excited when you're watching these guys. They're a shot in the arm for the promotion. They feel like kinetic energy on the screen. You know what I mean? Like action when nothing is happening. And that was my favorite match on the show, man. Like they are the X factor that this promotion has been desperately looking for a long time.
Well, let's go into some of this now. First of all, hello to Fernando Zayas. Fernando is with us. Colin is here. Colin, we're glad you're back with us live here. And anybody else that's watching live, we appreciate your time. Fernando says he's very happy for Takeshita. Of course, Konosuke Takeshita, our new world heavyweight champion. We're going to talk about that in just a bit. Very happy for Takeshita, as he and Okada should win the AEW tag team titles this Saturday and do a 2-man power trip type of storyline before turning on each other. So Fernando's got the AEW booked up for a while. And Colin just says he's not a fan of Takeshita with the title. Yes, he has a contract with New Japan, but he also has one with AEW and DDT. So unless he gets out of at least one of those, he's basically a part-timer. Yeah, and it's something we're going to be dealing with, but we kind of saw it coming. We explored a little bit, and Colin says he wished they had kept the title on Zach. Last week, Jeremy, you and I talked about a couple of scenarios they could have done that would have involved Zach keeping the title. We mentioned like the Goto thing, which ended up happening. But we always suspected that Takeshita was going to take this thing, that they weren't going to pull the trigger on Zach being in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom again. And that does indeed seem to be the direction. And they still feel like Takeshita is the guy. The thing is, I think he is too, but I also agree with Colin in the circumstances that you're really running a risk of alienating fans and sometimes even diminishing your own company when your world champion is too busy to show up for a lot of your shows. And of course, he's going to be at the big shows. And he'll probably be on some others before now in the Kingdom. I think Takeshita wants to be the guy in New Japan. I've said that over and over again. I think this is his end goal. So I think he wants to promote this. He wants this to be a success. It's still going to look a little weird. The good news is a couple of tag team tournaments coming, so you have an excuse for the singles world champion not to be on them. It doesn't look as odd as it did, say, in the build-up to Kobe.
There's a couple things here that there's a lot to unpack, but we're going to try and tackle only a couple of things right here, right now. To me, it felt like a foregone conclusion that Scott Sabre Jr., the minute he won that title, he wasn't going to be walking into wrestling.
Yeah, we fantasy booked a couple of things that just didn't feel like the right move after last year.
It didn't feel right. So Takeshita winning the minute he won and he called it, it wasn't like a suspicion to me. It felt like a foregone conclusion, right? Like if you had the foregone conclusion and you're watching how this guy's timeshare is working in AEW and in New Japan, and God help DDT, he's never at DDT. Like the last time he was in DDT was like a year ago. But it's cute that they call it triple contract.
Only for their biggest show of the year type of thing.
Sure, and at a rising tide lifts all ships. And Takeshita is banking on the fact that his sheer presence in all these promotions will be an uplifting factor. My hope, and I've spent some time thinking about this, is that they have thought carefully about this and that they are crafting a storyline. And I strongly suspect this is where they're going, Stephen. That they're crafting a storyline that Takeshita is telling you that he is going to be here as much as possible, but he will be an absent champion. And that there needs to be somebody on the roster that rises up to bring this title back, to make sure that it is important and it gets it home to the fans. And in the course of that, we can get a story in which Takeshita truly understands what it means to carry the banner of New Japan, Shin Nihon, in Japan, and then he has a run after this in which he's on all the tours. Like, he is one of those top guys that is leading in the thing. This can all be a long-term plan on their part to create that rift, to create the guy in New Japan, and then to parlay that into Takeshita learning what it means to be the guy in the promotion, not just the guy holding the belt.
Yeah, sort of. He figures out the true meaning of Christmas, so to speak, as he becomes the champion, and he realizes what it means to him. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that they could do, and I think that it will help out if there ever is a moment when he's exclusively New Japan. I hope that's where this is all going, and that this side trip to AEW was just, they said, make some money, wrestle some people that are pretty good and that you have good relations with, some people that you're friendly with, make some money over here, and then make that transition not directly from DDT to New Japan out of respect, as been supposed by some people, as respect to his home promotion, I mean. Then I think this could all work out if the storyline is eventually, this lion mark is where my heart is. Yeah, and so I think that's something that they should build to if they have a chance to.
And something like this is not 6 months. This is 18 months. This is 2 years. This is like building.
I hope it's not. I hope it's not.
What I mean? Like, it just, like, from getting to point A to like getting the whole dust settled and everything wrapped up in this whole thing. Like, it needs time to breathe. Like, you need time for a guy to rise up in the middle of this, and then you have the other part of the journey, which is Takeshita like winning that title again, but with the full support of everybody there because he understands what it means to be in the cerulean blue. Like one of those.
All right. Well, let's get some other hot takes, some quick reactions here. This is from Nick Reeves. Nick says, hi, friends. Been a weekly listener since New Beginning this year. Usually listen on Friday mornings, but you'll be keeping me company for packing and driving to the airport today. Thanks for all you do. Well, thanks, Nick. We really appreciate it. I'm glad you're here live. It's nice to have you. And really appreciate your loyal listenership. And he also says that KOB have really invigorated things for me and helped counter the post-G1 lull. It's been a little shot in the arm for Nick there having KOB around, and I agree with him. I think he's done a terrific job. And also, this is a no-name person. They just have stars where their name should be. But asking, so y'all think they're going to run Okada and Take? I imagine he's saying Takeshita at the Dome. No, I don't think it's going to be Okada and Takeshita at the Dome at all. I think if Okada shows up at the Dome, it's because they've made a deal for him to be Tanahashi's final opponent. I think that's probably the only way Kazuchika Okada is in the Tokyo Dome on January 4th. Just my hunch and suspicion. I feel like Takeshita, I still think that we might be headed for Takeshita and Tsuji here. But there are a couple of detours that could take. It's Takeshita and Yota Tsuji still feels like the Dome main event for me now. But ask me in a couple of weeks. I might have something different in mind. But that's where I think it's going, Jeremy.
Steven, are you current and up to date on AEW right now?
No.
Okay. Right now, there is a simmering to a boil feud between Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita, and it's coming to a head. So they did a video with Don Callis this past week where they were celebrating his birthday, and Takeshita is on a video screen, and they have a 2-minute and 30-second video of him with a message for Dawn while everyone's in a banquet hall room celebrating his birthday. They play the video, and 30 seconds in, Okada shuts off the video and said, "Oh, sorry, my hand slipped." And Dawn's like, "Oh, that's fine. And so that's the latest parlay in their feud as they're teaming to wrestle together against the tag team champions, Bandito and Brody King. Well,
sounds like it'll go perfectly well.
It sounds like something's going to go perfectly wrong if you could read between the lines. What's obviously happening is that these two guys are going to have a match together, and a lot of people are coming to a conclusion that because they're both Japanese, that it would happen at the Tokyo Dome in New Japan. In my mind, there's not a chance in hell that Tony Khan is going to allow this match to happen in any other promotion on any other show than something he's bankrolling. And if I had to guess, it would probably be those two in the finals at World's End, Okada versus Takeshita. Okay.
Oh, you're talking about like the Continental Classic finals?
Yes. The round robin where it all comes to a head.
The AEW G1.
Block the AEW G1, which will end exactly a week before Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh, there you go.
Now, you're thinking about politics, and you're thinking about, how do you assuage all the egos here? And I think the way that I've got this worked out is that Takeshita can beat Okada at the C2 in whatever the event is. But Okada gets the main event over Tanahashi in Japan at the Tokyo Dome, and Takeshita gets the semi-main, which is kind of like one guy wins in the promotion, but the other guy looks like the bigger star in their home country. And a week apart, I feel like that's kind of how you make everybody happy.
That's not a bad idea either, because with Takeshita especially, if the idea is that he's going to hopefully be a long-term main eventer for New Japan, it almost gives you two steps to that process. There's his first big Tokyo Dome match, his first big Wrestle Kingdom match. Then you can do his first ever Tokyo Dome main event. Correct. Two different things. You don't always get to do it that way, and you can build it up. So I like that. I think that's probably smart thinking on everybody's part. I know that New Japan's going to be holding its breath, hoping that their world heavyweight champion doesn't do a job on TV. I know it doesn't mean as much in Japan. To Okada, I mean a week before the big show. So that would be the only issue is right before the Continental Classic, one of the guys, or a week before the Tokyo Dome, one of the guys does a loss. But again, that matters. It's not like there are a whole bunch of people watching AEW in Japan. According to what we're seeing, there aren't a whole lot of people watching AEW in the United States. So it's maybe less of a deal than it used to be.
I don't think there's anyone that really has a whole lot of Okada lost this match. Oh, could he lose against Tanahashi? You know what I mean? Like, I think there's kind of like, you're in the main event. There's almost a ceremonial aspect to this match.
Yeah.
Like there isn't an aspect of, is Okada going to lose the match? Okada's not going to lose it. Like, no one's going in Wrestle Kingdom thinking, is Okada going to lose this match? I think Tanahashi,
I don't know.
It just I've seen enough Okada Tanahashi matches at this point.
I might take a bet on that.
I don't think Okada's losing twice, and I don't know. I think Tanahashi is going out on his back on his last.
Well, I don't know.
So?
There's a long history of people not doing that, by the way. This whole concept, by the way, I've mentioned this before. The idea of going out on your back is something promoters like to tell wrestlers they're supposed to do. If you look back in history, there's a lot more of it not happening than happening. And by then, of course, we will have seen what John Cena and Gunther do. So there's a parallel there, but Inoki didn't really go out on his back. Neither did, Tatsumi Fujinami hasn't gone out. He's still wrestling. He just wrestled last weekend. Other guy, Vern Gagne, retired as the AWA World Heavyweight Champion. He came back, of course, as everybody does. But the idea of going out on your back, more of a romantic notion that promoters try to exert control over the wrestlers with than anything that actually happens.
I hear you. I'm also looking at Tanahashi as the president of the company and doing the business of getting Okada there. It's like, hey, can you do the main event and the final honors for me? It's like, oh, also, can you job?
He might not mind. Who knows? I mean, Okada and Tanahashi got along a lot better than Tanahashi and Nakamura did.
This is fair. There's a lot of respect there.
There is.
Okada still has a career to look forward to, and I just don't think it would be the right thing to do. I think presupposing that Okada is in fact the guy, and we don't know that for sure. It just makes more sense that the last night for Tanahashi is bittersweet, followed by a celebration.
I still think it's entirely possible it's Naito, by the way. It doesn't necessarily have to be Okada.
You can't
rule it out. I mean, we don't know that it's Okada. He might not be there at all. Who knows? I mean,
it's not Ibushi. And
no, it's not Ibushi. There is no Kota Ibushi anymore, folks. That was I said it before. I'm saying it again. The Kota Ibushi, as we know it, ended in the G1 final.
Bro, they aired the footage on Collision, and I couldn't believe it. Like, they aired the actual thing that happened, and it was part of an angle for the Callis family. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is just call it off. Whatever you had planned. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, this is all bad. And
see, Nick Reeves has it here, I think, also, by the way. He says, I think Tana will do the job if he faces anyone currently with NJPW or AEW, but would win against anyone else. I was thinking that it would just be if it were one of the current guys. If he couldn't get a special guest star, so to speak, if it were one of the current guys, he might try to put him over as president just to send the right message, so to speak. But because he's kind of he's not a promoter, but he's the president of the company now, and that's you want compliance.
He's the president, and he's a fan too.
You want compliance with the wrestlers when you ask them to do a job. So, but I was thinking even with AEW, if it were a guest, that he would probably put himself over and go out with the cheering and all that kind of stuff. But if it were somebody that he was going to try to make money with later on top, that he would probably put him over. That was my thought on that. But we'll see how it turns out. I mean, we're gonna know pretty soon. I mean, he's gonna do this match with Tsuji and Gifu and Gifu. So we'll find out which direction it goes. I hope. I hope it's not a global title match with Tanahashi as the champion. That's the only thing I'm asking here is like just and I worry about that because I sat there and I thought, well, where is he more likely to put himself over one more time, in the Dome or in his hometown? And I thought, oh crap, Tsuji. And I thought all of a sudden that match seems a little more 50-50 than it did before.
There's one more aspect to this that I wonder if they're going to try and do. And Takeshita also has a match on this Tanahashi, whatever it's called, the Tanahashi Final Homecoming on November 2nd. That's what it's called.
It's basically replaced Power Struggle this year. We're not doing Power Struggle.
Correct.
This is going to be a pay-per-view, quote unquote, pay-per-view level show.
So there's a part of me that thinks that there might be an aspect of this Okada Takeshita thing where Takeshita wins his final title defense and he potentially like tries to call down Tanahashi, but Okada comes on the video screen and says, no, I'm going to face Tanahashi and try and make their AEW feud over into New Japan and try and do something like that and then play it all back and then really heat it up because Takeshita being the top dog in New Japan and then still having Okada kid brothering him when he hasn't been in the promotion for years is actually a really good trigger to super ignite the feud in AEW.
Well, our friend Stars here has it. He says he can't wait for Tanahashi to put over Yuto Ice as the ace and forever champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling. The excitement's real, folks. Everyone's fired up about these guys.
Okay, let me ask you this. How unreasonable is it that Yuto Ice is a heel champion in the next 3 years for somebody to overtake?
They can try to make him a heel champion. I'm not sure you can make him a heel. I think the crowd loves this dude.
I think maybe, but he's got to have that heel edge for a while. Like you maybe face this guy and he's going to lose all the charisma.
We already kind of did. All right. So let's talk about King of Pro Wrestling, shall we? There's a lot to get through here. Boy, it was Monday, October 13th. Let's get the ugly part out of the way. The attendance of this was 5,372. That's not good. It's the lowest attended King of Pro Wrestling of all time. Last year's was the previous lowest of all time at 6,211. It keeps the pattern going of things being 15 to 20% down from last year. And it looks like it was Destruction in Kobe that was the outlier. So Destruction in Kobe was not down. This was right back to being down 10, 15% or 15 to 20% like it has been. And not a good crowd. Not a good crowd for this at all. And we will see this match here let it all off, which is a match that didn't even exist when we did the show last week. This one, we got off the air and then found out that this one was coming. So it was Sari defending the IWGP Women's title against Shuri. Now, of course, when I saw this announced, I thought two things, which is, oh, wow, cool. That's going to be really, really good. And second of all, oh, Stardom's done with Sari because there's no reason to do this on 3 days notice or 4 days notice or whatever it was, unless they were done with this whole thing of Sari and I'm not saying she's never going to
brother.
Not saying she's never going to wrestle for Stardom again. I don't think that's true. I think when they need her, she'll be back. But for now, I believe that they have had their fill of it, of her working for everybody in the world, because for this to just be that short a notice and then do the title switch, somebody's done with someone, whichever direction it was. But it was a terrific match. Sari was a little heelish with some hair pulling earlier, and she got some boos. The people, for the New Japan fans, seemed to understand that she was the heel in this. They started without hurrying. A lot of these matches look to be sprints. So when I was watching it, I just thought, oh, they are going to get some time. They're going to get some time here. And it went about 15 minutes, 14:56, which is a long women's match on a New Japan show. They even had Daiichi, the Stardom referee, in there. He's a terrific referee, and he was in there for this one. There were some stiff forearms. I mean, both of these women have some MMA background to them, and they were going to lay them in and get some oohs and ahs from that crowd. I like the double wrist lock spot off the ropes by Shuri. And then later on, Suri got 3 different Uranagis, which got a 2 count. And at that point, the crowd was kind of expecting, well, you hit something 3 times, then, it's kind of 1, 2, 3, and then that's it. Instead, Shuri kicked out, and the crowd was into it. The crowd was excited by it. It was a very good match. Shuri ended up hitting the Suri Sakai to win. It's kind of her version of a one-winged angel. It's not too far off from a one-winged angel. This match was great, and now Shuri is the IWGP Women's Champion again, 2-time champion. The next day, Jeremy, New Japan announced that Saya Kamitani would be at Wrestle Kingdom. Now, Saya Kamitani is the World of Stardom champion, the red belt. She is by far the biggest star, and she is red hot. And only sexism would keep her from being the Tokyo Sports MVP this year. I just don't think there's even a second place for that award this year, but they don't like to give it to women a whole lot. Which begs the question. It's great news that Saya Kamitani is going to be at Wrestle Kingdom, but are we getting title versus title on the women's side as well? Because we're also going to have Shuri as the IWGP Women's Champion. Is that the match? Now, Stardom has a few things to do before they can formally announce much of anything. So Kamitani has a title match against Momo Watanabe, and Shuri has some things to do. So as we get closer, we'll see. But you have to have the IWGP Women's Champion on the show. You're going to have the Red Belt Champion. Is the whole theme of the night going to be title for title, maybe?
It could be. Does the IWGP Women's title need to exist?
Well, that's the other side of it. Is this like they've already taken the NJPW Strong title and put it with Shuri. Shuri defeated Azumi and won that belt, so now she's carrying around both of them. Is this yet another belt collector? Are they gathering these things up before Mercedes Moné gets a hold of them again? Maybe we just ought to hoard these, but whatever it is. But it could be as simple as just doing a double championship thing. They just want Saya to have it.
I mean, I went to that first, but I have to say this match was fantastic.
Yeah.
I actually got up at midnight to watch the show. Like I watched it live, the first 2 hours of it before I zonked out. And this woke me up good. This was just a fantastic, hard-hitting. Our show, Stephen, is called Speaking of Strong Style, and that's what I was thinking of when I was watching the show. Speaking of strong style, these two women laid it in hard. And I was actually really surprised that Suri lost the title. But as you mentioned, she might have other arrangements. Things might have changed. And, it wasn't so long ago that she was stateside and Tony Khan was kicking the tires with her on the Ring of Honor show. And now we have this. And I wouldn't be surprised if she was somehow, some way locking up with Mercedes Moné relatively soon.
Yeah, that would probably be pretty good. I mean, Mercedes Moné and Suri would be good. I like Suri in Japan just because I think the style suits her better. But
those headbutts were awful. Oh my!
Nick
goodness.
Mentioned it. Some stiff headbutts in the women's title match, and felt like more headbutts than usual on this whole show. I thought the same thing, Nick. I did. There were a lot of headbutts on this thing. There were. Shota that uses them in a safe way, in that he kind of headbutts the person's chest. And it makes it, with his hair and all that, it makes it look like he's getting them on the chin. It's not forehead to forehead, but these kind of were. And most of them were blocked. There's ways you grab the other person's head and you're kind of headbutting your own thumbs rather than just going skull to skull. Some of these are pretty snug. And just for everybody out there, I know this is strong style. You don't have to keep hitting each other in the head that hard, for real. You can feel free to work that. Don't feel free to work your headbutts, please.
With that said, if you are picking and choosing the matches to watch on this show, do not skip this match.
Do not skip it. Yeah, very, very talented women overall in Stardom. The depth of that company is tremendous, and I know that Suri is a freelancer and all that. Shuri is one of the very best, even though Stardom doesn't really push her effectively and hasn't really since she lost the red belt to Julia years ago. But make no mistake, Shuri in a singles match is one of the very best. So there you go.
Steven, now that we got that one match that we didn't actually know about when we did our preview, I wanted to say I thought we nailed our preview pretty comprehensively based off of what we discussed and what actually happened on the show.
I'm pretty pleased too, by God. Oh, Nick has it here. He says a stiff headbutt makes me cringe more than anything Despe and Jun Kasai could ever do to each other.
I don't like the sound. The sound is really triggering, I think.
But what you say is true, Jeremy. We had this thing covered, and we smoked out a lot of what they were planning. And this next one here, 6-person tag match with the War Dogs and unaffiliated, was a setup to something that would come a little bit later. But these matches, sometimes 8-man, sometimes 6-man, these have been the highlight of what were otherwise lackluster Road to shows. But these guys just sort of feed off each other. There's a lot of energy in these, and they were often the best match of the night on the Road to. And here it is in the second position on this show, and it also had a lot of energy. It looked like the guys were having fun in there. They've worked with each other a lot, and it was just all very smooth, very crisp. Finlay ended up beating Titan after a buckle bomb and an overkill, but this was just a chance for 6 guys to go out there, have a little bit of fun, do some good wrestling, keep the energy up on the show, and then we were going to come back to all this a little bit later. But good stuff. It was short, but it was good.
Yeah, I think Titan was the X factor here that kind of changed things up from what we'd been getting a lot of the time, because he hadn't really been on these tours up to this point. And when he was in there, he was like the spark that all the other guys on the team were like, yeah, I haven't wrestled you in a while. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And you could definitely just kind of see they're like, oh, man, it's been fun wrestling you. As we see later on.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to be seeing these guys against each other anytime soon again. It doesn't look like it, perhaps.
No, at least not for now.
Not for now. Okay, so we've talked about the good stuff. Now let's do this match. The Riot and Ryogoku, no disqualification, no count-out match. Drilla Maloney against Sanada. Now, this wasn't terrible, but we had 2 entrances from Sanada. So, first of all, the guy came out in the mirror ball suit and got up on the ring apron and took his little mask off, and it wasn't Sanada. He fooled us. Oh. And then, although it did kind of look like Sanada, they found a guy who kind of looked like him. I will admit, I did not realize it wasn't him until he actually took the mask off. I didn't have a reason to look that hard. But then, anyway, afterwards, the real one came out wearing the jacket with the speakers, the music speakers all over it, and he walked through the crowd with the guitar. So a little fooled you thing. But then that mirror ball guy just went away. We never saw him again. That was it. Maloney got things started early. He used a fork to get blood on Sanada within a minute or two. Sanada did it. You could see he wasn't totally comfortable with it, but he did it, and he bladed a little bit, got some blood, a little color, and later on, though, a shot from Sanada, and I had it down as a guitar shot. I don't know if he actually hit him with the guitar or if it was something else, but Maloney hit an absolute flippin' gusher of a blade job on this thing. He was just pouring blood out of his head. So
yeah, it was freaking Carrie.
Oh my goodness. So Great Muta would have been proud. Great Muta, one of the great bleeders in wrestling history, but this wasn't Muta-esque, but there were puddles. There were absolutely puddles. And there was a ref bump, so he didn't see the pin on the first Drilla Killa. Then we got Kanemaru and Togo running in. Connors made the save with the tire. So that tire is as over as anybody in the War Dogs right now that's not named Gabe. And then Maloney drilled Sanada with a clean guitar shot. Drilla Killa. This was a total victory for Drilla Maloney. He has won this feud with Sanada. He smashed the guitar over his head, hit his finisher, pinned him clean. And I think of all the War Dogs, where there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding them, and we might not even have the War Dogs anymore in a way. But Jeremy, I think Drilla Maloney has a bright future in New Japan. I think he's charismatic. I think people like him. He's in phenomenal shape. And he got something out of Sanada that not many people are getting, and that's anything out of Sanada. This wasn't great, but it was as much as Drilla could pull out of him. And I'm encouraged that they just had Drilla win this feud with the idea that now he can go on to bigger things than a mid-card guy in House of Torture. So I'm encouraged for Drilla Maloney. I'm happy for him. I hope it does lead to something a little bit more from him because I think he's a very talented guy.
I think you're right. This was leading on to bigger and better things for him, and I think they're building around this guy because let's look back at 2025, right? Gabe Kidd, he had that transcendent match with Kenny Omega that put him on this radar, and for all intents and purposes, there was a dialogue and a conversation of have Gabe Kidd win the G1, have Gabe Kidd do this, give him plans, like put him in the spotlight. And, you know, when he did the global title thing, like he questioned for the global title, he won it, he had an unfortunate G1, and then the story was someone coming after him for the global title. But if you really look and you really think about who they invested in New Japan over the past year, it's Drilla Maloney. Like they put him in programs with Shingo, they put him in programs with Ishii, they put him in high profile feuds all throughout the year. The New Japan Cup, he got upset wins. He got wins going into the New Japan Cup. He got wins that you didn't think he was going to get in the G1. And now he's in singles matches along the card when guys like David Finlay are not in singles matches on this card. You know, like you have to read between the lines here and see that they're clearly building this guy up and trying to give credibility to him in a way that they're not doing with guys like Callum Newman. You know, they're not investing Gabe Kidd the way that they're investing in Drilla Maloney. You know, like we had our talk about what Gabe Kidd's future was going to be, and it's probably going to be some type of blood feud special match at Wrestle Kingdom, if anything at all. And I feel more strongly about that than ever. Drilla Maloney, I'm not sure what kind of match he's going to have at Wrestle Kingdom, but I'm pretty sure he's going to have a pretty important match at Wrestle Kingdom the year after.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think he's one of the few guys in the War Dogs they feel secure with because there's uncertainty with all the others, basically. Mm-hmm. Geto and Ishimori aren't going anywhere, but you know what I'm talking about.
Mark's probably not going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and his girlfriend is in AEW, so there is that.
yeah, and he's shout outs constantly. He misses her terribly, apparently, but it just feels like they feel secure with Maloney, and there are a lot of things going for him. He can talk. Like I said, the look. He has the most believable finish in all of wrestling. I think. Like, is there any doubt that a Drilla Killer would beat you? I mean, if you hit that on anybody, it's believable. So, a lot going for the guy. And Nick said, I thought Drilla and Sonata overachieved, which is all I can ask for from a Sonata match in 2020.
It's a low bar.
But this one did well. This one did well for that. And Scott Edwards is here. Scotty Wrestling. Hope you're well, guys. Hi, Scott. Glad you're here. Don't forget to check out his channel as well. If you want to know anything at all about Joshi Wrestling, he knows all of it. And it's yeah, so I don't know what's next for Sonata. Mid-card is fine. That's about where he belongs, but better things ahead for Drilla Maloney.
Yeah.
What's next here? We had Goto back. So this was a nice little feel-good moment. It was exactly what we said it was going to be. It was Goto's return. He got a big response from the crowd at Sumo Hall. Big Goto chants. Everyone was thrilled he was back.
Still a star.
He was in there with his buddy Yoshihashi, his ride or die, and Yo, who was wearing a Street Fighter t-shirt. I appreciated that. And they wrestled TMDK, that being Hartley Jackson, Kosei Fujita, and Ryohei Oiwa. Fujita and Oiwa and Jackson, they were here to facilitate one thing and one thing only, and that is to do the feel-good job for Goto. 8 minutes, hits the Shoto and the GTR on Hartley. Goto is back. He's successful. He's happy. And this was simply a moment for everyone to welcome him back. Mission accomplished.
I'm still not sure that it wasn't the right call, or that it was the right call to take the belt off of Goto when they did. I'm still not sure. I watched him come out to here, and I'm like, holy crap, he is a made man in New Japan. Like, that's how I look at him. Like, he's just, like, as long as there are Shin Nihon fans in Japan, Goto is going to be the golden goose for them. Like, they can go back to him whenever they want. And I think that's actually going to be a detriment because the company might not realize what they truly have with him right now. And maybe they just don't have the room or the space to let that thrive. But I don't know. Goto versus Takeshita, if that had been the match at the main event of this show, it might have been a better match to me.
Yeah, it probably would have, almost certainly would have drawn more. Like Goto's return, going after the title and things. But yeah, tough one.
It is. It totally is. But I like seeing Goto. I think TMDK does not get enough credit for being a stabilizing force in this promotion right now. Because when everything else has been up in disarray, TMDK is just doing their TMDK thing.
Do you think Jackson and Oiwa is the heavyweight TMDK World Tag League team?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, they already have one of the best junior teams in the world with Fujita and Eagles. I think that Jackson and Oiwa together could be really dynamic. I'm not saying they win the thing because I think there's a decent chance that Bishamon wins World Tag League and challenges Knockout Brothers at the Dome. I think that would be interesting. But there are a lot of options for that. But
yeah, so I think Scott Sabre Jr. is committed to a bunch of dates in Noah and elsewhere during the month of November, which kind of cuts into the World Tag League time. So I think Hartley and Oiwa is the team there. And Samson in our Discord actually mentioned something that I forgot earlier in the show. The world champion typically isn't on the World Tag League tour.
Right.
And over the last 10 years, when Shingo was champion, he wasn't on the tour. When Okada was champion, he wasn't on the tour. So Takeshita not being on these tours is not actually unusual.
Oh yeah, the two tag team tournaments provide a lot of cover for that. To the two tag team tournaments, and they like that in the past because it lets the guys in the main event rest up and heal up. And really, they only do the Christmas Korakuen and a couple of Road to the Tokyo Dome shows. There's only 3 shows after World Tag League leading up to this, so it's fine that Takeshita's not there. But it's like I said, it's still a weird message when the champ is wrestling for other people and not here, and also that it's not even being mentioned on the other show a lot of times. It's weird. And like I said, AEW doesn't have a huge following in Japan. It's okay, but they know about it. It's awkward.
You typically have the buffer though of the champion or the person who's going to be champion on the tours upcoming. Doing the grind to get there, and you didn't really have that either. So it's you have to keep that in mind when you're saying, oh, the champion isn't really on the tour. But that's always the case. But it's not always the case that they're not on the tour going into the tour. The tour before that. They're on those tours, and that's the different line.
You mean the Christmas Korakuen thing or something like that?
No, on the road to Destruction in Kobe and the road. Road to King of Pro Wrestling. They weren't on these. He wasn't on these tours, and so then not being on that next tour, it's just feeling a preconceived opinion about this guy's never here, but in actuality, the champion never really is there on Super Junior Tag League and World Tag League. And that's the difference this time.
And he's playing into it a little bit. I mean, there was a heel promo he cut tonight, but we'll get to all that. All right. So anyway, keep Goto in mind. File him away. He's not done yet. All right. After this one, we had the television title match, Hiroshi Tanahashi and El Phantasmo. And I mentioned, of course, that Tanahashi got the win on the Noah show, teaming with Kiyomiya and against Marufuji and Keno. Good match, and he got the victory. In this one, he and El Phantasmo worked a lot. Tanahashi worked on ELP's knees. He turned a UFO into a sling blade, which was kind of a cool move right there. He barely got over the ropes when he hoists himself over the top rope to climb the turnbuckle. Almost didn't make it again. He almost got tangled up. But this is a pretty decent version of Tanahashi in his final Sumo Hall match. Of course, he was motivated to make it as good as he could. Fans were into it. They were chanting for him. He kicked out of a CR2. He was also a Thunder Kiss for 2 as time was ticking down. And you had a feeling that either Tanahashi was going to put Phantasmo over, they could just do the draw. And it was pretty clear what they were going to do after he kicked out of that Thunder Kiss right there. They went through a few pin attempts, and then El Phantasmo actually had Tanahashi's cloverleaf on him as time expired. It was a good match. It was probably the right result. And it was all to set up Phantasmo asking Tanahashi to team with him in World Tag League, which is apparently going to happen. That's a smart move. El Phantasmo can do most of the work in that one, and Tanahashi can play Ricky Morton and get the hot tag, and a lot of the pressure comes off of him. He'll do more than just the hot tag, but I think that's the right idea. Put him with somebody who's a really strong worker and can carry most of the match, and then everybody on World Tag League gets a chance to see Tana. But this was fine. It was what it needed to be. A 15-minute draw is about right. He doesn't need to be the television champion. And they can move on now as still friends and future partners.
I hope if they're in World Tag League together that they do, in fact, get shirts that just say ELT on it. And it has like the outline of Tanahashi doing the air guitar, and it has the outline of ELP doing the drumming. And just kind of like that like line outline, kind of like a band style. I would buy that shirt. Because that's my jam kind of thing, a Tanahashi jam. I thought this match was about as best as it was going to be, and I thought the draw was always the foregone conclusion. Neither one of these guys needed to win or lose this match, and there was no reason why they couldn't just go 15 minutes.
It's also pretty
a little weird.
It seemed clear to me that Tanahashi likes ELP a lot. Respects his ability, likes working with him, and just wanted to do it one more time. Nick says he enjoyed most of Tana's singles matches this year, but this was one of the better ones. So there you go. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice.
I got to give Tanahashi respect. He was on every tour, and he wrestled damn near every night. Like I don't think there's been more than like one or two nights, if at all, where plans changed and Tanahashi couldn't go or anything like that. He showed up every night for this final year. And that can't be easy. That can't be great on his body right now. But he feels an obligation and responsibility to a whole lot of people, both in front of and behind the curtain. And damn it, he is doing everything he can to deliver. And I just got to tip my cap to him on that one.
All right. Well, after that, we had the never openweight title match. This was the stinker of the night. This just didn't
perfectly average match.
I think it needed to bump itself up a little bit to get to average, but Evil against Bolton. And this was it was basically the setup to another angle that would happen after the match, but a lot of interference, not the good kind. The ref bumps, Show and Kanemaru were in there. Yano and the Young Lions hauled them out, but every time Bolton got close to winning this match, another member of House of Torture would come out and cause issues.
But wait, there's more.
It wasn't the good version of any of this, basically. And Bolton kind of did what he could. Evil kind of did what he could, but this thing was just booked to within an inch of its life, just overbooked. And so we found out why they overloaded the interference. In the end, just too much interference, too many shots with various objects. You had Doki, you had everybody out there. And finally hits everything is Evil. He wins the never open weight title. Fine. The reason they overloaded the interference. For the first time, Aaron Wolf got involved. He slid into the ring and threw a couple of guys. I think it was Yujiro and Show with judo throws. Gave him judo throws. Gave Dick Togo pretty good looking body slam. And then an incredibly awkward moment took place, Jeremy, in that he had thrown two of the smaller guys and body slammed another one of the stronger. Basically threw around the juniors. They did all that to make him look as strong as possible because he did it absolutely effortlessly. Keep in mind, he was a super heavyweight gold medalist at judo. This is a bad man in real life. So this is not somebody you want to tangle with. Then Fale comes in the ring. Somebody else, I don't even remember who. There's 20 members of House of Torture. It's probably a member of the Callis family, just statistically. And then Evil's standing there. And they just look at him. It's like 4 or 5 on 1. And they're just staring at him and they do nothing. And Wolf is staring at him. And he does nothing.
Nothing.
And they just look at each other.
And they're all doing nothing.
And Wolf has an absolutely blank expression on his face, showing absolutely no anger, no frustration, no happiness, no excitedness. He absolutely, if you had told me that this guy was watching television, sitting on his couch, that's the look on your face that Aaron Wolf had at this point. And then they just left. House of Torture is like 5-on-1, and no one does anything else, and everybody just left. It was poorly done. It was awkward. Here's the thing about Wolf.
It was exactly what we thought they would do, Steven.
Yeah. And so they came out later, and Wolf said, I want my match to be against Evil. And afterwards, in backstage comments, he said that I just couldn't stand it anymore, and I had to slide in the ring and get involved. I know I'm not supposed to. I'm a young lion, but I was sick of the whole thing. Okay. That's not even a bad angle. I'm down. I have to remind myself, Bolton Oleg was very wooden his first year in the business. Very stoic, didn't betray a lot of emotion at all. Pretty clear that he was trying hard to remember his dance steps more than anything. You know what I mean? It was like 1, 2, 3, 1. Now I do this, and then I do this. And then later he got the charisma. Later on, then he got the facial expressions. Then he got the hitting a move and then, roaring to the crowd. And he's good now. He's got fire. This was his first time. But this was not encouraging, Jeremy. Anyway, we're going to get that match at the Dome. Evil is going to be his first opponent. Evil's a good technician. He could probably walk him through what will probably be a highly choreographed match. But watching, this was so awkward. Just everybody just staring at each other with no emotion on his face, and then just walking away. It's one of those things that probably looked okay on paper, and then it got in the ring and just fell with a thud.
This was everything I thought they were going to do and everything that they thought they were going to convey. And when all came down to it, it was Aaron Wolf that was not able to meet the moment.
He just started training. It's a lot to ask.
Evil is his trainer too.
Watanabe is his trainer. You're right. That's true.
There is a formula to this. They're giving it their best shot. And what they can do is that they can Monday morning quarterback and look at the tape. They put him in live action and said, here's where you went right. Here's where you went wrong. Let's build from this, because now, you can't tell me did everything wrong, because you can't destroy the student's confidence. So you have to be here's what you did right, here's what you did wrong.
And look, it's New Japan that botched the thing by having him stand in there against 5 guys and have the 5 guys not do anything. That's on New Japan, not Aaron. Yeah. That's on New Japan, not Aaron. So that was their screw up on that. And then, Wolf, he was probably nervous. I'm like, I would have been. I mean, that's a lot.
Well, when you're there and you're standing there and looking tough, you're like, I don't have to do anything. I just look tough. But to the greater audience, what is this guy doing? To him, he was probably I'm looking strong. I'm looking imposing. I just beat these guys. What does everyone want me to do? He's got to puff his shoulders out a little bit more, have that command and dominating stance in front of them. That's yes. I'm going to destroy you unless you leave.
Yeah. He needs to look at each of them. He looks at each of them like, I dare you. I hope you do. I hope you do.
Right. You got to do that rather than you just saw what I could do. What are you going to do now? But not say anything. You did not convey a killer spirit. You did not convey the will of a lion in the ring and said, "This is my ring. Get out."
Yeah, there's still time. They've got a couple more months to train with him. Whatever they do with the Dome will probably be close to choreographed. They'll work through it. He'll know his dance steps and things. We'll see how it goes. There's a lot of time for him to grow into this. There's not a lot of time before the Dome for a new trainee. So that was always my thing about this, is he started training in the summertime or in the late spring. That's not a lot of time to get ready. But hey,
is this the first match on the card?
That depends on how well he's doing. That depends on how well he's doing.
Right now, it's not a never open weight title match.
Right. Yeah. I think there's probably more to go between now and then.
Sure.
So,
sure.
Yeah. Probably at least
it's all story. It may end up being a never open weight title match. But it's very deliberate that at this point it is not.
And Nick says, as an evil defender, I cannot defend this one. There wasn't even any real attempt to build drama within the match. That's very true. You never really felt like Bolton was going to win the thing. He even hit a kamikaze, and he wasn't because the ref was out or distracted or something. It was just one of those. It was such a House of Torture parade of interference that you were just waiting for it to end. So didn't pan out very well. But and then Nick also says, some say Aaron Wolf and House of Torture are still staring each other down to this very day. Still standing in Sumo Hall. They'll have to try to clear them out before the Marty Gold show at the end of the month. Hopefully they make it.
That was a good one.
All right.
What do we got next here?
Yeah, let's cleanse the palate here a little bit because we had the Knockout Brothers next against Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura. Now we're talking, Jeremy.
For context, Steven, this is where I turned the show off and I brought it up in the middle of the morning because I started watching this match. I'm like, I am too tired to properly process my emotions about how excited I am for this match and then I fell asleep for 4 hours and then I picked up and watched it, and that was the right call.
You know what I popped for in this match more than anything else? It's not even the Knockout Brothers.
What?
Shota and Yuya hit Power and Glory.
They did.
I popped for that one. They actually hit the Power and Glory. The superplex into the splash. Oh, when Paul Roma and Hercules did that in WWF when I was a kid, I loved that move, man. No one was doing stuff like that. That was fun.
All I wanted was
pop for Power and Glory.
Some synchronicity between the two. I wanted I wanted them to have some coordinated moves, and boy, did they.
I'll tell you what, Ray Hernandez, who was Hercules Hernandez, and then he was Hercules in the WWF and all that, underrated dude. That guy was good everywhere he went. Anyway, these guys have undeniable charisma. I'm talking about the Knockout Brothers. They work really well together as a team. Of course, they told the whole story that Yuto was going to try to pull his arm out of his socket again. That's the story you have to tell about this. Oscar was working toward a sleeper, doing his power moves. And it's exactly the type of story that you should tell here. In the end, the Knockout Brothers use teamwork, and they put it all together. So it's a rare case of a wrestling company going with the intuitive narrative that a good team can beat two singles guys because the teamwork makes the difference. In so many companies, especially in America, it's odd how infrequently it's booked that way, that the two singles guys keep beating the team over and over again. You look back on it, of course, Vince McMahon didn't like tag team wrestling that much, so he booked his tag team champions to lose to singles guys all the time. It's happened in just about every promotion in the United States that the two singles guys beat the great tag team. I was gratified that when Yuto and Oscar started hitting double team moves, that the story was that was too much for one guy to handle. They hit the knockout bomb, excuse me, on Uemura. They beat him. The match was crisp. It was well wrestled. Again, the charisma is just pouring out of these guys. The crowd was into everything they did. Umino and Uemura, I thought, were up to the task and put on a hell of a match before doing the job. I think this accomplished everything they were hoping to accomplish. It's the first successful defense of the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles since King of Pro Wrestling last year, and they're the most exciting things in the company.
A-plus match made the show to me. I'm not kidding here. Everything else was as I expected, or in one case, kind of let me down a little bit. But this one hit on all cylinders for me. Not only that, it gave me more confidence about the future of New Japan than any other match that I have seen in the last calendar year.
I'm glad you enjoyed it as much as I did. I thought it was strong. And Nick Reeves says, the biggest takeaway from this match for me is that Shota is a great tag wrestler and works much better in short spurts. I thought Uemura and Umino were a dynamic team. I really like what I saw there. So if they bring this thing to World Tag League, I'm in. I think it would be fun. Fernando Zayas agrees that Hercules Hernandez was totally underrated. He's a guy who's Gino Hernandez's brother. He's from around here, and here being Texas, where I'm from. So maybe I'm a little bit biased. He came up in the Houston and Mid-South and world-class territories, but just a great body, good worker, could talk. And one of those guys that just never really got the world title push, just because there was always somebody maybe a little more roided up ahead of him. Well,
I didn't want to say it.
Well, no, I mean, look where he was. He was in world class with the Von Erichs. No one goes over the Von Erichs, right?
He was a body guy who could work.
Yeah, and then WWF, of course, he was there during the Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan years. Good luck, So, but terrific wrestler everywhere he went. He was really good in Mid-South too, working with Duggan and all those guys during some of the hottest periods that company had. So,
Ray Hernandez is not a body guy, but he
no, and the thing is with him, he just has that air of danger. You can't take your eyes off the guy. Like something might happen, and like,
I feel like he's gonna pull a knife out from his pocket and shiv you.
I know, and I'll tell you what, Oscar has really asserted himself as well. It's a different kind of charisma, but we mentioned it a little bit last week that I think he can be, and you said it too, I think, that he can be what they wanted Hikuleo to be. Just a guy that is that big and that tall and can work that well and can get the crowd into it. And, Hikuleo went to WWF or WWE, excuse me. I was thinking about Ray Hernandez back in the WWF days, but he went to WWE, and you can't argue with that. He's doing well, and he's been part of some big storylines over there. But I felt like he left just as he was starting to gain a little bit of momentum as a worker. And now I think Oscar might be ahead of where Hikuleo was as far as just being able to work a match.
The one thing that I'm taking away from this, and I don't know if you even got the same vibe or feeling, but when Yuto, Ice, and Oscar won, the way that they celebrated made it feel to me like it was the most important and biggest thing that ever happened in their life.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it probably was.
They put it over.
Right. Like, these guys were going nuts. Just like, look at us. We did this. Like, we're the guy. We're the man. And, you can just see Oscar just, flex his entire body in, victory, just, curling up and yelling to the sky. Like, yeah, we did it. And it was still heelish, but, you couldn't help it, yeah, no, you guys earned that one. I'm not. There's no shame in that game. You beat each other to hell, and you're the better men tonight.
There's a lot of reality in that, though, for them, isn't it? These guys probably dreamed of this when they were laying on mats in the Fale Dojo in New Zealand. Then they were in the Noge Dojo when they were sleeping on people's couches going around Germany and England, wrestling these small shows. This was the goal.
Yeah,
this is it, and they got it. And so,
what you put in, that's the 100% the lesson you get from this.
And these two are capable, I think, of making the tag, if they go with it, making the tag team titles a main event thing. Maybe not at Wrestle Kingdom, maybe not at a Dominion, but these guys can headline in some circumstances, I think, and it's the kind of team that can elevate the belts and the division if they let it.
A total top act.
Yeah. All right. Well, good for them, man. We're happy. And then we got this one, Yota Tsuji against Gabe Kidd for the IWGP global titles. This ended up being consequential both during and after the match. These guys have faced each other before, of course, so there were some callbacks. What, 24-13? So it was a long match. Kidd had Tsuji hung up on the ropes and physically resisted the urge to climb up after he had that calamitous miss where he just airballed Yota Tsuji on a move earlier in the year. So I like that they did a callback to that. And this time he resisted the urge to dive onto Tsuji. It's a really good match. I got to bring up something here that really bothered me.
Headbutt?
Yeah, but also this. There was a spot where Gabe Kidd hit the back of his head, I think on the turnbuckle or something. Walker Stewart says that would make him more of a mental case than he already was. That was the line from that buffoon.
Yeah.
Is this the 1980s?
I see why that's problematic.
He said, with this guy's open about his mental health struggles, talking to the point of considering suicide, that was a stupid line, even for someone as amateurish as Walker is at this job. He needs to be more intelligent than to say that a guy who has struggled with this openly is more of a mental case. That phrase, what the hell? Than when he gets hit in the head during a match. Stupid. and childish, amateurish, and it's enough of a struggle to listen. No.
Not great. I'm gonna.
Collins says he never heard it. Hopefully, it passed over. It jumped out it jumped out at me. I was just like,
yeah, I didn't catch it either. But in the context of that, I'm like, you could find a different way to approach the same topic.
Yeah, be better than that. This match built, though, since it was going long, and we'll move on from that now. He hit a Guerrero special. Tsuji did, of course. He makes that look really, really good. That's a hard move to do well. Mm-hmm. I've seen more bad versions of it from people not named Ultimo Guerrero than I've seen good ones. But Tsuji does it well. And that picked things up a notch. Kid avoided the Gene Blast, hit a pile driver. That got the crowd. They realized the finish was coming. And it wasn't that the crowd was quiet, but fans seemed to like both guys. So it wasn't a real partisan crowd where you really felt a big chance on either side right here. Again, to Nick's point from earlier, they headbutted each other into oblivion, which ended up going into a ref double count, the idea of teasing the idea of the double knockout, which they've done. Kid, his selling intensifies things. And when Kid kind of rolled over and told the referee, no, wave that crap off, don't do it. Okay, and Nick's saying he missed that line from Walker also. So maybe it just kind of passed by most people and they didn't have to hear it. That's good. But they sold the double count out idea, but then Kid waved it off. Then he hit a Gene Blast for 2. He went into a Boston Crab. And the Boston Crab, Jeremy, did you pick up what they did with the Boston Crab? That Gabe Kidd has done this kind of stuff before where he sort of reenacts famous moments in his matches. Mm-hmm. Go back and watch this and watch Steve Austin in the Sharpshooter at WrestleMania 13, the famous match with Bret Hart, the I Quit match where he had the blood and it was in the beginning of Raw forever. He did the whole thing. He did the whole thing where he looks like he's fading and then he plants one hand down. Then he plants the other hand down and then he tries to push up out of it and he can't quite do it. He just decided to do a Steve Austin right there in the middle. I enjoyed that. I was at that show live in Chicago. Best match I've ever seen in person in my life. I was going insane. I was a Bret Hart nut, but I loved him. I loved Austin too. So that got me right in the heart there, Gabe. I appreciated it. In the end, though, he did collapse. He did tap out, and that was it. Tsuji was the new global champion. So I think that's very significant, Jeremy. And afterwards, they both bowed to one another on the lion mark and shook hands. To me, this was, again, the whole idea of tapping out, bowing on the lion mark. This is just more in the world of New Japan kind of preparing themselves just in case, because afterwards the War Dogs came out and they surrounded Gabe Kidd and it looked bad for him. And I just thought, I hope they don't do this. Well, they didn't. I hope they didn't kick him out. They didn't. Hiromu shot into the ring to protect Yota Tsuji, with Shingo not too far behind. Hiromu's still quick when he needs to be. And soon both groups were there. And they were staring each other down. And suddenly, handshakes all around. So after all this...
Finley extends a hand to Tsuji first.
Yeah. And it's there were handshakes all around. Everybody's shaking hands with everybody else. But to me, this move, War Dogs unaffiliated as an alliance, they did not say that one has joined the other. To me,
they're not unaffiliated anymore.
They've always been affiliated just with each other, right? The faction that's not a faction. But what I think they're doing here, Jeremy, is preparing themselves for the departures that are probably, or they're worried, are going to come. The idea is, if there aren't enough War Dogs to have a War Dogs anymore, some of these guys might caucus with, so to speak, team up with unaffiliated until whatever long-term storyline they have shakes out. Something's going to happen with United Empire, what's left of it. Newman and Okan and Akira, those guys are going to fall into place somewhere. If Finlay leaves, or if Gabe goes with AEW, if Connors goes back to the States, and all that's kind of left are Maloney, Ishimori, it's not really enough for a faction. they can kind of team up with unaffiliated until something shakes itself out, whatever they have planned long-term. So I thought this is just a way of protecting themselves and giving these guys a group to kind of team with on all these 8-man and 6-man tags that are coming up, and just do something different with that. And if half the guys leave, then they've got a spot for them, and so they can team up with unaffiliated. Tsuji held up the title to Tanahashi, who was at commentary on the way out. That match is going to happen at the big homecoming show in Gifu. And my favorite line from the post-match comments was Hiromu Takahashi, who made the too sweet gesture. I don't know, you know that what I'm talking about, where you take your two, the ring finger and the middle finger, touch it to your thumb. The other two are up in the air. And he said, I always like this gesture. And he looked at his hand and he said, foxes are cute. I realized it does kind of look like a fox. It's a shadow puppet of a fox, the too sweet thing. So that's just Hiromu being Hiromu. But the other thing, Jeremy, when I saw this, I just thought, please, 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 universe, grant me Hiromu Takahashi and Taiji Ishimori as a tag team in Junior Tag League. Close. That's not quite what we got, is it? No. Instead, Hiromu says, I want to tag with Geto.
Record scratch. What?
But the good news is Robbie X is coming back. We'll get to those lineups a little bit later, but damn it all, bunch of teases.
This match was good, maybe great, but it was marred for me by the fact that they simply have wrestled each other over and over and over and over and over and over.
It's like
again
3 times. It's like 3 times.
We talked about how much they'd wrestled each other in their record, but in the last, like, they had the double count out, they had the global, and they have this match, and it's just they didn't have a whole lot of other dance partners this year, so it didn't feel fresh. And by the time I was over, I desperately wanted Bullet Club and Unaffiliated to no longer be wrestling with each other. And boy, did I get that. So
do you get that feeling like if all these guys just take off and leave us, and that seems to happen every January, it seems to New Japan lately, that we hemorrhage foreigners.
Yeah.
Then at least Ishimori has someone that he can team up with. He can be an unaffiliated guy until we figure it out. And who knows with Geto and all that, but it just felt like, okay, in an 8-man tag, we can put them with these guys, and now we're cushioned. And if they don't leave, then we can run an angle after that. But let's just protect ourselves in case all the foreigners leave again in January.
I mean, this all just feels so temporary right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything is just like the War Dogs and Unaffiliated being interfactionally linked and an opportunity to create friendships there. You have a giant group of Hontai and House of Torture as if they're Transformers and Decepticons. And then you have TMDK and United Empire, like, kind of out there in the fray. This can't last forever, and I wouldn't be surprised if by next year we have a bunch of new factions.
Yeah.
And everything is kind of like, we're up to like 8 different factions again, down from like the 4 or 5 that we really have right now. Because this is unsustainable the way that it is. And more to the point with Yota Tsuji, if you look at it with this Unaffiliated and the War Dogs, Tsuji beat Finley. Tsuji beat Gabe Kidd. He's basically had these guys, whether they you want to call it a handshake, they bent the knee. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he's the top guy among all of this entire group. And if you're trying to whittle down who the top guys are in the promotion that could be facing Takeshita, the global champion, who just had the entirety of the War Dogs come and just say, we align with you, I don't know how you don't come to the conclusion Tsuji is a major player at Wrestle Kingdom this year.
Well, Destruction in Kobe, we mentioned it, that David Finlay hit him with every move and couldn't beat him.
Right.
Same thing here with Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd hit all of his big moves on Tsuji, couldn't beat him. And that's just been the recurring theme to all this. He has overcome them. He has overcome the War Dogs. And the other side of that is, if this is the guy, if Yota Tsuji is going to be like the main event guy, and we need new factions and we need a shakeup, well, Shingo Takagi doesn't need to be second to anybody.
Right.
And so that's something that they can do. And maybe not before Wrestle Kingdom or something, but I do think that Okan and Newman are going to have something to do with all that. Don't forget, Hanare is going to come back. So those guys could in some ways split, go off in different alliances, and we could find new factions with spreading out what's left of United Empire. Shingo Takagi and Hanare would make a nice little combo toward the top of a faction over there. There's a lot of choices there, but I don't see Shingo and Tsuji staying together long term. It just doesn't seem to make sense. That's two number ones. And
not so much.
Yeah, and so let's see what else we have. Nick says that all three matches in this trilogy have delivered, but I have to say each match and both wrestlers have felt less important every time. So I guess
that's how I felt about it too. It was diminishing returns every time.
And Tyler says, Tyler Murin's here. He says, "What's up, guys?" Hi, Tyler. Thanks for coming. I'm so confused by the War Dogs happy hug party. Yeah, again, I do think that a lot of this is simply a storyline of the War Dogs putting over Yota Tsuji, with the idea that maybe there won't be as many War Dogs in New Japan come February. You got to protect yourself. You got to protect yourselves from that.
All right, we talked about the fallout and we talked about the run-up, but we haven't talked about the match.
The main event, Zack Sabre Jr. and Konosuke Takeshita for the IWGP World Heavyweight title. This had a classic main event feel to me, Jeremy, when the way they came out, the way they stood facing each other in the opposite corners, it just felt like a main event world title match to me. And I really enjoyed how they worked this match. It was never dull, but they also didn't hurry. They had that balance perfectly well worked out. They kept things moving, but they didn't sprint. It looked like two men who understood the stakes. They didn't want to make a big mistake, but they wanted to remain aggressive. And that's a very realistic approach for two men who are in a world title match. I thought it made sense for the moment, and I thought they worked that very, very well. So as things went on, Takeshita went for a power drive, but that was turned into an absolutely electric series of submissions that kind of got the crowd thinking, oh, maybe he is going to win it right here, meaning Zach. But Takeshita survived it barely. Smart stiff is what I wrote and underlined it, meaning European uppercuts that hit the chest, but hard. Some of Takeshita's stuff was snug, but not dangerous. And I thought that was well handled by both guys. Zach did hit an avalanche powerbomb. You don't see Zack Sabre Jr. doing avalanche powerbombs all that often, but he pulled that out. Really nice sequence of a tornado DDT by Zach. And as he tried to follow up, it was countered into a raging fire. At this point, the crowd really coming up. This thing went 31 minutes, 16 seconds, and felt a lot shorter because it just moved so smoothly. The strikes and the impact moves began to really connect. The German suplexes started piling up. Finally, power drive landed clean, and it was a pinfall. Konosuke Takeshita wins the G1, parlays it into the IWGP World Heavyweight title. And for two people who are as good in the ring at working as Zack Sabre Jr. and Takeshita, I thought this is a wonderful match. And we can argue about whether a guy that's not exclusive to New Japan should hold the title. But the talent level on these two men really put on a terrific main event in Sumo Hall. And I think anybody that was at that show, even if they have reservations about Takeshita as champion, walked out saying we got a hell of a good main event match.
I'm really worried I'm going to get a ton of crap for this. I watched this match twice, and I couldn't get into it.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Like, I think it's a me thing. Like, I don't think the match was bad. There was a tone and a pacing and a structure to it that just didn't work for me. Like, I was watching it, and I could never sync with the beats of the way that they were doing this match, even to the point where, like, the power drive knee to the pinfall caught me off guard because I was expecting the raging fire. So there were a number of things in it that was just like, there's nothing wrong with this match. As a matter of fact, a lot of people whose opinions I respect really like this match. I just, like, it was good, not great to me. Like, it was a 4.5, not a 5. You know, and so, like, I expect a lot of people to give it higher scores as like one of those matches of the year. Maybe I have to watch it again. I don't know. But there were other matches that did it far more for me on this show, and I was really surprised. But I freely admit, I felt like it was a foregone conclusion that Takeshita was going to win this match. And I was just like, look, get it done. And then they got it done, and it felt more mechanical and like what was supposed to happen than me feeling like I saw something special. And that's the part of it that is, I'm saying this is on me because of the way that I kind of went into this match and went into the show. Like the foregone conclusion, like Zack Sabre Jr. is not going into Wrestle Kingdom as the champion. Like these are all these things. Let's get to the match. And when I got to the match, it was like, all right, let's see if I wasn't able to enjoy the match the way that I thought I was going to.
Okay. Well, I'm not trying to pile on, but I do want to read a couple of comments here. And Tyler wrote that he loved the main event. I know Takeshita isn't the fan favorite, but I think AEW did a good point of teasing Okada Takeshita. And then Nick says, this was easily my favorite Zack Takeshita match so far. Both their G1 matches felt like they were holding back, and we finally saw what they were holding back for. Fernando Zayas says, Takeshita winning was the right decision. Why shouldn't the G1 winner win the world championship? Tyler says, Jeremy, I wasn't into this match. Me, boo this man. Boo. Shame upon your house. No, of course.
I get it. You know, like we've all been circling this match and we're like, oh, I can't wait for when like they just kick the wheels off and let them go nuts with each other on the match. And I'm not saying that you should listen to my opinion and then watch this match and think it wasn't good. I'm saying that for me, I had an issue with it, and me coming back here and telling you guys that is me just being honest with you rather than trying to convince you that like I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah, and there have been plenty of matches that the consensus of people thought it was fantastic, and I was just like, I mean, it wasn't bad or anything, but I didn't get that out of it. And sometimes that happens. There can be a lot of reasons for that. And this
like people thought this was a blow-away show, and I thought it was good. You know, like it was a really good show, but we didn't get the clear lines to Wrestle Kingdom that we thought. There were clearly a couple of stinkers on the show that we're looking past in order to call it really good. I just thought it was a good show. It checked the boxes off of what they needed to do.
Yeah, I suppose the last three matches for me, I thought were all excellent. The tag team title match, the global title match, the world title match, and
the opener.
The women's title match for sure. But to me, just ending with bang, 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 1, 2, 3, great, great, great. You just leave the show just thinking that was fantastic. You know, that's the reason.
And that how a card is designed is that like the last opinions that you have are the ones that are the strongest, and that's actually kind of what's happening with me too.
Nick mentions if Tsuji Takeshita was always the planned Wrestle Kingdom match, I feel like so much headache could have been avoided with Tsuji winning the G1 and Takeshita getting this title match from a block play win over Zack. Well, you know, I predicted that Tsuji was going to win the G1, so I understand, Nick. I kind of agree. I thought Tsuji was going to win the G1 myself, so I thought that would be it. But yeah.
This to me is all predicated on the idea that Tsuji wins that double dash match against Takeshita at the at the Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not necessarily sure that's the case.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of support for Takeshita behind the scenes and with people who make very important decisions that they are confident and wanting to run with this guy. And all the others are the runners up chasing, not to be put in a position to be on an equal level.
Maria Graciela Sayas is here. Glad to see you. And says, I still consider Zack Sabre the best wrestler in the world. I don't think you're alone. I do not think you're alone. Zack's fantastic. Zack's absolutely
just
fantastic.
Because you don't have a title doesn't make you the best wrestler in the world. Just makes you the best wrestler of that promotion.
And then afterwards, of course, Takeshita cut a heel promo basically saying, you know, I know you don't like that I'm here. Don't be mad that I'm not here all the time. There are
don't be a hater.
There are other worlds to conquer, but this one, and I'm going to conquer all of them. And he basically dared someone to come out and do something about it. And Hiroki Goto was there to answer the call for New Japan. Who else but our hero? And he came out to challenge, and it will indeed take place at the Gifu show. Takeshita said he did not want to go into the Dome without having defended the title at least once. So there you go. We're going to get Hiroki Goto and Konosuke Takeshita in Gifu. We will also get Yota Tsuji versus Hiroshi Tanahashi. That's the next major event. And I mentioned earlier, Phantasmo and Tanahashi are going to team in World Tag League. Evil versus Wolf at Wrestle Kingdom 20. So we did get a little bit of information about upcoming things. Then
Jeremy, show you something, Steven.
Yeah, let's hear it.
You know
what do you got
is?
There? No, what is that?
This is an adapter for Japan.
Oh, does it have a grounding hole in it?
It does have a grounding plug in the back, because I just booked my ticket for the Tokyo Dome Hotel.
Oh yeah, you are so freaking lucky, because when I went last year, you were so freaking lucky. The Tokyo Dome Hotel was absolutely untouchable during Wrestle Kingdom weekend. Could not get a room. Wow. And now I was very happy to stay where I stayed. By the way, the Tokyo Stay Hotel was terrific. So no notes, loved it. But the original plan was to stay in the Dome Hotel. You're going to roll right up to it. All you have to do is get in an elevator, and you're basically outside Korakuen Hall.
That's great. I'm all aboard, man. I got recommendations from a number of people, and for whatever reason, like the recommendation you gave me, like the 30th and the 31st were unavailable, and I'm not switching places here. Yeah. And I ended up just like, well, let's see what the Tokyo Dome Hotel, what do we got here? I looked and I was like, this is really a good deal. Yeah. I told you it ended up being like $170, but after fees, maybe $100 more a night, because the way that they do fees with services and all that is a little bit different. And so it ended up being there. But I made a mistake, Stephen. I booked a non-refundable, non-cancelable stay, but I booked it for the day I fly out, not the day I arrive. Okay. So I ended up having to rebook my flight to leave a day earlier, so I actually get the hotel, because otherwise I'd be out of a hotel room, out of the fee, out of everything, and I was just like, well, I might as well just go a day earlier to Japan.
You'd be sleeping in one of those capsule hotels for the week, put you in a tube.
Yeah, no, I ended up, I ended up leaving a day earlier for Japan. I'm now going to be there for a full week, and I will not be rushing to figure out my New Year's Eve plan. I will get there on the 30th. And potentially go to even more wrestling shows in Japan.
Yeah, there's going to be some good stuff going on around that time, of course. So all the other companies with things going on.
So hopefully I can podcast from there, and we can do a show, because I have the tech now to.
You have the technology.
I can make it stronger, faster.
So we have that, and we'll be looking forward to that. Hopefully, Jeremy will be able to correspond with us from Tokyo, and I did it the other way last year. Managed to make it work on my phone a little bit, but we'll see. So by the time we come back next week, so we've got a couple things coming up. We have October 19th. New Japan's going to be in Ishikari. This will be on NJPW World. This is Taichi's middle school. This is where our emperor went to middle school, and this is an interesting little show here. New Japan Road in Ishikari. It has a lot of just tap out guys, because of course Taichi and Taka Michinoku are buddies, and they are also in the main event together. The main event of this one, Taka Michinoku, Yuya Uemura, and Taichi facing Kanemaru, Doki, and Sanada from House of Torture. And again, like he's mentioned, this is Taichi's middle school gym, but a lot of JTO people on it, including Jeremy. A just tap out girls tag team championship. Now they have a women's title and they have a girls title, and it's I guess it has to do with I think it's like an under 23 title or something like that, where that type of thing. But on this is a women's tag team match. It is a wrestler named Rhythm teaming with Tomoko Inaba from Stardom against Azusa Inaba, Tomoka's sister. She's teaming with Aoi, another JTO wrestler. So the Inaba sisters are also with JTO and the Just Tap Out organization, but they are on opposite sides of a tag team championship match. There are other JTO talents on this one. Ryoma Tsukamoto, Bomber Tatsuya. He bombs so much you have to name him twice. Bomber Tatsuya, and Thunder Masami. So we got a bomb and a thunder out there. And then Jewel Bird is which sounds like a singer-songwriter with an acoustic guitar, Jewel Bird. But that's against Masatori Yatsuda in the opening match. And then, like you said, interesting tag team match there toward the top of the card. The El Desperado and Hiroshi Tanahashi teaming together to face Dick Togo and Evil. That'll be the 19th. It's going to be on NJPW World. And
Tanahashi Desperado tag team match is the thing I'm most interested on that card.
Oh, Colin's asking me if I watched any of the London Sumo tournament. I haven't found where I can. I haven't found. It's not. I haven't looked on the NHK website. I don't think they're covering it like they do the other ones. Maybe they are. I'll have to look. I haven't seen any of it yet, but I've heard that it's been pretty interesting. So.
All right, full preview next week, but quick rundown of the Super Junior Tag League lineup.
Yes, so we got the lineups for Super Junior Tag League. Let's bring that up, Jeremy. So we have, and then we have another graphic here that shows the blocks. If you could bring that up for me, I'd appreciate it. Yeah, there we go. So here are the teams. We have an A block. This is last year there were 12 teams in the tournament, 2 blocks of 6, and that's what we get this year as well. And sometimes it's been a single elimination tournament, but this one is block play with 12 teams. So A block, we have the returning team of Ryusuke Taguchi and Dragon Dia, and Yo and Master Wato. And then we have Hiromu Takahashi teaming with Geto. God only knows we're going to get there.
Why not?
Clark Connors and Daiki Nagai. So there's your cross thing there with Hiromu and Geto, Connors and Nagai. So there's your War Dog / unaffiliated team. Templario coming over to team with Jacob Austin Young. So that's your United Empire-ish representation. And then Doki and Sho. So to me, Jeremy, this feels like a 2-team block with the House of Torture team of Doki and Sho, and then Yo and Wato. I feel like Dragon Dia and Taguchi will probably do okay. They've treated Dia a little bit better this year, like with Super Juniors, where he went almost winless in 2024, but did better in 2025. They could have Geto and Hiromu go on kind of a humorous Cinderella run together if they wanted to. But to me, this feels like Doki and Sho versus Wato and Yo.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. And if it were me, I'd probably have Wato and Yo go forward. What is the final match? What are the final matches?
It's Yo and Wato against Doki and Sho on the final day.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah.
I would have Yo and Master Wato go forward, and then maybe like set up a title match for them, even though they end up not winning it, kind of thing down the line. That feels like the play on the A block.
Similar situation in the B block. Again, feels like a 2-team block, but we have El Desperado and Kukai, so we'll get to see them in action. Tiger Mask and Yamato, so he'll be back. So some Dragon Gate guys in there. Kushida and Yuki Yoshioka. Haven't seen him before. That'll be cool. And then we'll have Robbie Eagles and Kosei Fujita, Taiji Ishimori and Robbie X. That's an excellent team. I'm happy that Robbie's back. And then Kanemaru and Togo. What jumps out to me here is that Eagles and Fujita are facing Ishimori and X on the final day. Kanemaru and Togo are facing Tiger Mask and Yamato. And then Kushida and Yoshioka are facing Desperado and Kukai on the last day. So, it's one of those where it kind of feels like this is kind of coming down to Eagles and Fujita, the returning champions, and Ishimori and X being heavily involved all the way to the end.
Yeah, what makes this interesting is that it's not a heel and face situation for that last night. It's now babyface.
Yeah. No, you're right. That is true.
So no matter what, even if you're to think Rob Eagles and Kosei Fujita could be the guys to challenge Doki and Sho or Taiji Ishimori or Robbie X, you can't just delineate good and bad because of the way that that's all set up. But the other teams, there's a weak link, a really experienced guy, and then there's a weak link guy on each team. Kukai is still young, Yamato, Yuki Yoshiaki, and then Dick Togo on all these teams just kind of feels like there's an out for them not to be booked as strong as they could.
No, yeah, I think that's exactly right. And there's someone there who can do the job in those situations there if they need it. So, and Colin hooked me up with a way I might be able to watch that London sumo tournament. So thank you, Colin. I appreciate that. Might be able to check that out.
I always enjoy you to London.
Well, it's I'm kind of hooked on sumo, man. It's been so much fun to watch. Also got a little bit of news very quickly. This is in the news and notes thing, but who knows? These are some names you might want to keep an eye on here. The trio of Sean Devon, Trent Hooper, and Sean Tohei, or Tohei. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Those folks have been invited to go to the Noge Dojo from the New Zealand dojo. So from the Tamashi Fale side, they've been invited to move to Tokyo and go bunk up in the Noge dojo.
They've been upgraded slightly.
A couple of things that we can tea leaves from this. First, that might mean that some people are clearing out of there because everything we've heard is that it's packed in the Noge dojo, and now 3 more guys are coming in. So is this the time when I think Nagai might get the Fujita treatment and just not go on excursion or something like that, but maybe Shomikado, Murashima, not too terribly far away from going off for on excursion, if they're going to, and one of them might just go to Noah. Who knows? I mean, that worked out really well with Oiwa. Maybe they'll do it again. Murashima might not be a bad move for Pro Wrestling Noah, by the way. Kato has already said he wants to go to CMLL, so maybe that'll indeed come true. And so it's getting on time for them to make a call on Murashima and Kato specifically anyway. And significant just because the most exciting guys in the whole company right now that we're all happy about, the Knockout Brothers, this was the path they followed. They started in the Fale Dojo, New Zealand, moved over to the Noge Dojo, went on excursion. Now look at them. So just some names to file away in the back of your head.
I'm always impressed and happy to see new names. Zane J feels like he's got a strong future, more so than a couple other people that have come out there. And so this is these are 5-year plan kind of people. It's like sure. if they're going to deliver, it's going to be 5 years from now. But hopefully, we're doing this show in 5 years, and we can talk about how far they've come.
Well, we're getting on 200 episodes, so we've been doing it for a few years now. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
What show are you out of here again next month? What week?
That's going to be about late November. Before Thanksgiving. It's like the weekend. We're there the weekend of the 15th. So I guess the 13th or 14th or something like that is the one we're going to be. I don't have the calendar in front of me.
We could just skip it if it was Thanksgiving week, but clearly not that.
It's not that one. We're not doing the show on Thanksgiving Day, but I'm going to be in Las Vegas. So.
Why don't you go thin it up while I hold down the fort over here, buddy?
We'll see what I can do. All right. So once again, by the time we come back here next week, we will have one night of the Super Junior tournament, tag team tournament. So night 1 is the 23rd when we are back here on Speaking of Strong Style. So we will be able to review that show. We'll talk about Taichi's homecoming as well, and any other news notes that come up in the meantime. So anything else before we wrap this one up, Jeremy?
No, let's shut this down. Thanks, everybody. All the new names. Hey, Nick, I hope you have a great trip wherever you're going, and thanks for joining us while you pack, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, as always, to Fernando. And we have our anonymous star guy with us, Colin War Hero. War Hero was here. He said the ace is either the opponents of the Ace is either the opponents of the Knockout Brothers, he says. Good to see War Hero. And Maria was here, all the you guys. We really appreciate anyone who watches us live, anyone who listens to us later here on YouTube or as a podcast. We're really grateful for your time, as always. Thank you. Yeah, so with that in mind, we will sign off for now. For Jeremy Feinstone, I'm Stephen Conway. This has been Speaking of Strong Style, and we'll talk to you again real soon.